How's it going, Kaijudo fans? It's Reissmann, and today I'm bringing you a very special video of mine. Jeremy and I recently went to the Clinton Township KMC in Clinton Township, Michigan at Gamers Gauntlet, and today I've compiled all the footage for you. But I haven't just compiled it in a way that makes this another video on YouTube. I've compiled this in a way that shows you just how much fun Kaijudo really is. Now, just a few days ago, we received some really unfortunate news about the game ending, and so I think this video is even more important to kind of document and kind of see the sheer fun and the sheer community that is behind such a great game. So now, take your time watching this. Try and live every moment as I've tried to capture it on the camera. Try and see just what this game means to me, and then maybe you guys can share in the same feeling. It was August 5th, and Jeremy and I had just met up at his house in Vicksburg, Michigan. And for a huge amount of time, Jeremy spent his time compiling a CD called Paul and Jeremy's Pump Up Jams. And we just put that CD in the Aveo stereo and just went. We were so excited for the KMC. This is our first big competitive event. Actually, we've never been to a competitive event together. He went to his first Yu-Gi-Oh! Regional, and before that, it had been at least 2 years since I was at a Yu-Gi-Oh! Regional, which is the game that we left in order to play Kaijudo for the most part. Both of our experiences were terrible, and we had heard so much about how the scene at a KMC was just so much more fun and just so much more environmentally friendly. We couldn't wait to get there and finally meet Dan Cato, the owner of Gamers Gauntlet in Clinton Township, Michigan. Could not get enough excitement out of the car trip over there. While on the road, he and I made some videos kind of thinking about what our experiences were going to be, the stuff that we were looking at the game so far. Very similar to Sparkcast, who would do podcasts on the road all the time. We kind of did that, except it was more of like the videography sort of thing. We were on our way to our friend Mike Pernito's house in order to stay the night because we didn't have enough money to pay for a hotel. Luckily, our friend lived really close by Gamers Gauntlet, maybe about 20 minutes away, and so we were able to stay the night and then drive over there the next morning. As we got out of the car, I got the camera gear all set up so that way when we walked in the door on Friday night, we could actually sit down, have some fun, and maybe even get some video recordings of some really cool duels, maybe even some just scenery, stuff like that. That's what kind of the stuff we were looking for. Jeremy got to sit down with Chris Duran and have a really fun time playing the Fresh Avenue mirror match, which is something that I did not realize how fun it would be when I first started recording it. In the meantime, while the footage was being taken, I just sort of observed the match a little bit, walked around the store. The store was in what seemed to be an old mechanic shop, which I thought was the coolest place to actually have a game shop. I kept joking the whole weekend about how it was literally the deck garage, something that comes up in competitive everything card games. There's always a deck garage where you can get your deck fixed up or like discuss a deck and stuff like that. I think one of the most memorable things about that night, mostly getting to meet Dan Cato and have him just usher in a huge helping of hospitality to us new players who had just come from the west side of the state all the way over to Clinton Township in the middle of this strip mall complex where if you looked around there was a giant highway, a bunch of vegetation, some stuff across the street, but it wasn't really somewhere, but it wasn't really nowhere either. Nonetheless, Gamers Gauntlet was just a buzz. There was a Magic's tournament going on that night, and a bunch of people came just to kind of test and have some fun with Kaijudo before the big event on Saturday. At that same night, we actually met Team GTA from the Greater Toronto area, or as they call themselves, Gila Flame the Assaulter. Met a good friend named Alfonso. I also met Greg Kaijudo, who's, if you search on Facebook, that's his name. And we also met top two runner-up Richard Yan, who had taken second place at Summer Champs. It was just so awesome. I got to shake every one of their hands. They were so avid about the game. They wanted to hear about our previous experiences in card games, especially our time in Yu-Gi-Oh! And why exactly we got out of the game, and why we were here playing Kaijudo of all things. After we were at Gamers Gauntlet till about 9 o'clock, we decided to go get some food at a local bar, and then head back to Mike's for some much needed rest. So the next day, we woke up bright and early, had a decent breakfast, started thinking about the game, just trying to get it into the competitive mindset, and we were there. On the car ride over, I just tried to keep in my mind, this is to have fun. Something I've never really been able to tell myself. I think that's one of the more endearing qualities about Kaijudo, is that I can actually sit down and have fun and interact and actually love the time that I'm spending with other people. We got there around 10:30 just to be there a little bit earlier than the actual sign-up time, just so we knew that we were there on time, and we got to interact with some people beforehand too. And we signed up, gave them our deck list, and we started waiting for the actual tournament to start. So I sat down, my first round opponent was playing Light Fire Rush. He was kind of a newer player, he had never really played Light Fire Rush, but he took my lawn tempo to the wall. My second round match was actually against Chase Cosgrove. Probably my funnest match of the entire day. He played 5 Civ, Fresh Ave, and I played my lawn tempo, of course, because you can't really switch decks in the middle of a tournament. But it was just such a fun game. It went back and forth. It went 1-1, and then we were at the final match, the final game, and he played his Squalachi Scourge, and I top decked the PPR, and I played it, and I locked down his Squalachi Scourge, and he had no way of beating me that turn, so I could just swing in and end the game right there. Tensions were so high, and I was so focused, and I was so in the game, so emotionally invested, but it was still fun. I didn't feel like I conquered Chase, but I felt like our friendship as people had kind of grown out of the game itself. To this day, I still think that was one of my best matches of all time. My next game was against another Stormspark cast member, Caitlin Hempton. She was running Light Nature Aggro, and man, that was another really great match. Very personable person, really loved having the match against her. Very cool, just getting able to sit down. She was taking notes, she was discussing with me, and it was just really lighthearted, really casual. And even though it was a competitive tournament, there was no pressure to succeed. My fourth round match was against Lance Vanderheek, and he was running a mono light mid-range sort of deck. It's very different. I never actually had not seen mono light at all competitively for a very long time, and so I was glad that he had the ambition to actually bring it to the tournament. Round 5, I ended up playing Edward Costello, and we were on the bubble. He was piloting Light Darkness Control, and I was dead drawing the entire time. I ended up getting 12th place, and actually did pretty well for my first KMC. Lost on the bubble, unfortunately, but Jeremy got 17th with his Light Nature Aggro. There will be some videos of that coming pretty soon. For 12th place, I ended up getting 6 packs. Jeremy ended up getting 3rd place in his Civilization, and got some cool Arbiter art that you get for placing in your Civilization, as well as a really cool deck box for the occasion. He ended up getting a patch as well, but he also had the light beanie that he had bought from Richard Yan, so that was a really cool thing. So he ended up getting pretty much everything that you can get in placing first in a Civilization by taking 3rd and buying a hat. I ended up pulling some pretty cool stuff. I ended up getting a Trox and Change of Block Blue Urgle, which Jeremy and I wanted for hero and villain bots. And then Jeremy ended up pulling an Arbiter and some other really cool stuff as well. Our friend Alfonso from Team GTA ended up pulling Regent Sasha. Afterwards, Jeremy, Mike, and I ended up going to Twisted Rooster just down the road from where Gamers Gauntlet was. Had a great dinner, talked about our experiences, talked about how much we were going to enjoy the Pandemonium Regional in Garden City, Michigan. At Gamers Gauntlet, those guys were actually going into an open tournament, and one of my personal friends, Soy Lefebvre, from up north near Marquette, he ended up commentating the entire event, which was really, really sweet. Sawyer is probably one of the first players I met from the Michigan area, and I thought he was like the only one for the longest time until I met Dan Cato. On the way home, Jeremy and I got talking a little bit, and I got to the point where I said I'm willing to just get rid of all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But Jeremy, after a couple days, kind of came to the same conclusion. This KMC was sort of a way for me to look at competitive Kaijudo players in a different light, trying to see people that played card games in a different light, looking at them as people I could possibly be friends with, and people that I wanted to interact with and I didn't feel inferior to. what more can I say about this KMC? A couple shout-outs, I suppose, and because it's a gamer gauntlet, I'll probably say a few shield blasts to throw out there. Shield blast to Dan Cato for hosting one of the best events I've ever gone to, if not the best event I've ever gone to. Your hospitality, your willingness to sit down and teach new players how to play this game, and just to interact with people and have fun and be personable and be on our level. Those are some rare gifts, and most store owners don't really have those. And I've been lucky enough to see you and be part of your community. So thank you for just having a great store and a great staff and a great attitude about everything you do. Shoutouts to Chase Cosgrove, who gave me the best game of the entire day. I still remember that game, and I still can't believe that I pulled it out. I know you were disappointed, man, but trust me, it was not an effort wasted. It was just such a great time. And I really hope I get to play you again someday. Shield Blast to Caitlin Hempton, probably the most personable player I have ever played in any game anywhere. You were kind, you were interesting, you were just a fun person to play around, and I think those are qualities that you should definitely be proud of yourself for having. So, Shield Blast out to you, for sure. Shield Blast out to Sawyer Lefebvre, one of the funnest guys I've ever met. I had no clue who you were, but I friended you on Facebook, and I just tried to talk, and it was a little awkward at first. But man, you are seriously one of the coolest people I know, and I really hope we get to meet each other sometime. Maybe when you're back down here from college, I don't know. But look me up, man, seriously. Shield Blast out to Lance Faheen, or I keep pronouncing your last name wrong, man, I'm sorry. But shout out to Lance. He's a cool guy. He's definitely a testament to I can pick any deck I want and sit at table 4, and if I play well and I try my best, I can actually do something in this game. So shout outs to you. You're a cool guy, and I really hope we get to play again sometime as well. Shield Blast out to every member of GTA. I know you're all the way in Toronto, and I don't know if I'll ever see you again, but you are some of the coolest people that I know. You guys at home, subscribe to their channel. I don't know how much more Kaijudo stuff they're going to be doing, but I definitely consider them some of the coolest people that I know, and had just a blast talking to them about the game. And a Shield Blast out to Wizards of the Coast, who probably had to make a very hard decision in letting the game go. R&D staff probably has had a really hard time with the news, but I can imagine that Wizards of the Coast is still trying to put on a very good last chance for us, because they know that Kaijudo is the spiritual successor to Duel Masters, and Duel Masters is on very good terms, but without Wizards, the community would not exist. There would not be a reason for us to be around one card game if Wizards had not decided to reboot it. So even though it was only 2 years long, Wizards, thank you for these great 2 years. You have done us a great service, and I don't regret any of the money, any of the time, any of the insight, any of the conversations that I've had because of your game. And Shield Blast out to the community. You guys are what makes this game. You guys are going to carry this game on into the future, even though Wizards of the Coast has discontinued its production of the cards for this game. There are a lot of different ways that Kaijudo can still live, and there are a lot of people out there that are trying to figure out how to make the game evolve and how to make the game continue on despite the fact that we don't have any new card support. Shoutouts to Chris Duran for giving Jeremy Franklin a great match and some great footage for me. That was really cool, and I learned some really interesting things about the Gamers Gauntlet community that I didn't really know otherwise. So there's some pretty cool stuff. Thanks. And Shield Blast out to Suma Artichoke. Probably the weirdest saying I've ever heard and said, but probably one of my favorites of all time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. That video has been taking me a really long time to get together because of work and college and all these other things that I'm having to do, but I finally got it done. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please head downstairs, hit like, and if you liked it, if you want to leave me some commentary, either positive or negative, please list it down below. If you can answer a question for me, let me know what your first competitive event ever was for a card game, or even a video game, I guess. If you really want to throw that out there, I'll video games, sure. But for card games, let me know. How'd you feel about it? Did you feel like it was a great event? Did you feel like it sucked? Whatever. Please tell me now. Please hit subscribe if you want to keep seeing more Kaijudo content. I am by no means done with this game. Not at all. I know that Wizards pulled the plug, but I'm still wholly invested in this game just because of how much fun it is and how many different ideas you can usher in. And besides, I haven't even played Open yet. So there's that whole brand new avenue, not to mention all of the other avenues that people are creating as part of the Kaijudo community to keep the game being fun, keep wanting people to play, that sort of thing. So there's a lot out there still that I could cover, and I really want some viewership so that people can see this really cool stuff that's happening. Also, Jeremy and I are heading to Garden City, Michigan to try and win our KMC invites at Pandemonium Games. We're going to be doing the same kind of coverage that we did here today, and if you guys want to see that, of course, you can comment down below with that. You can like this video, or you can just tell us right in person on our Facebooks or through our Twitters, that sort of thing. That's going to be also downstairs in the description. So make sure that you check that out. Make sure you let us know what you would like to see. And yeah, there's not much more I can say. But you guys, you rock, one community, and as always, stay crispy.